From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok.
And I'm Jen Landa.
And we are here to answer questions of the Force. It's our Star Wars Q&A episode, but this week, it's kind of a skeleton preview. When I say kind of, it's a Skeleton Crew preview, Jen. It's looking toward and forward to Skeleton Crew, which comes out next week at the time of this recording. And we've got about 5 or 6 questions from our Patreon supporters on Discord, all about Skeleton Crew. We're going to get to that in a moment. But first, we're going to remind you that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. We're recommending as a book you can try out on us or revisit, since we're talking about this so-called Mandoverse, the New Republic era, all that stuff. A lot of that began in modern Star Wars storytelling going back 10 years with Aftermath by Chuck Wendig in the Aftermath series. But check out the first book in that series by downloading your free audiobook today by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter and get that free audio book. Jen, that is our Audible A. You've got our Ask Reminder. How's that going?
That's right. We have a new goal of 420 paid patrons. We will be updating you on our patron-only live stream. It is locked in. We are just TBD, waiting for Joseph to return. Thank you to all of you patrons who are supporting us. We really, really appreciate it. And if you can't support us, that's okay. You know, you could share us with your friends over the holiday. Hey, I listened to this podcast. Like, subscribe, hit that notification, smash that notification bell. Whatever you need to do. We are really appreciative of that. I'm having a hard time. I need more coffee.
Yeah. Look, it's a holiday week for us, for everyone. Or if you celebrate Thanksgiving, which it's not even about celebrating Thanksgiving. It's just there's always a lot of extra pressure and time and energy being spent during holiday weeks, which is why some of my favorite holidays are me, the people I love, Grace and the Chihuahua, and video games and fast food. I just keep it simple, Chad. I keep it simple.
That sounds delightful. I would love to have that. I might go get some tamales or something with my mom when she comes.
Some Thai food. And I love Thanksgiving food. Yeah, not to go too far down this path, but we're not traveling for the holidays, and I have a lot of friends who aren't as well, for a lot of reasons, most of them political. I'm getting a lot of those invites from, these are some dear friends of mine. Hey, you want to come over on Thanksgiving? You want to come over on Christmas? And I've answered, Jen, No, I don't.
Good for you.
Nope.
Good for you. I admire that.
Sorry.
Because I get sucked in and then I'm like, the day of. And of course, I always have a great time, but it's just like, I am very much an introvert. Like, I love being at home.
The thing about those holiday dinners, what are we even doing here? The Dolphins are playing on Thursday night on Thanksgiving. I've got food. Again, Grace and a Chihuahua and football. That's all I need. We'll hang out on another day.
That's exactly. It's a lot of pressure. That's a good point.
I ain't taking these slippers off. But anyways, let's get to some Star Wars questions. I want to pre-thank all of our supporters on Patreon and those who are connected in Discord who heeded the call. The Gondor calls and Rohan answers in Discord. I asked for some questions that will help kind of get us thinking about Skeleton Crew, which drops next week, Jen, December 3rd. At the time of this recording, I don't even know when. Is it midnight, Monday into Tuesday? Is it on midnight, Tuesday into Wednesday for us? Is it an evening time? We'll find out. But our first episode of the Skeleton Crew Report will most likely come your way December 4th. As Jen and I break it down, Joseph will return from shooting his feature film, Dead Media, which you can still support by going to josephscriptshow.com. But he'll return for the second episode of the Skeleton Crew Report. But we want to look ahead to the series. A series, Jen, we'll just get some overall thoughts here. We're really excited about, for a lot of reasons. The last year or so has been a tougher time in Star Wars fandom. It's the holidays. We want something quote-unquote lighter, which who knows, the series might not even be all light. But I'm looking forward to this. Where are you at right now with that?
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, like I said in our previous episode, a reset. Mm-hmm. I'm hopeful that the discourse is going to be positive, or if people don't like it, they just won't say anything. A novel concept. I think it's just going to be fun. adventure. And they keep saying you don't have to know anything about Star Wars to appreciate this show. So I'm curious to see if that will really be true.
It's so funny. I'm not saying, I don't know. Hear me out. Every Star Wars show, going back to Mandalorian, has that talking point attached to it. Because of course it does. Of course it does. And that's how you write these things. You know, you want to be able to, I want someone to sit down for the first time. It's hard to separate our lived in lifelong experience with Star Wars with someone who doesn't know. Those people do exist. It's hard to find someone who isn't at least aware of Star. It's like finding a juror for a high profile murder case or something. Have you not been paying attention to the world? Have you lived under a rock? But some people just don't touch it. It's not their thing. So it is that. But I always love that talking point, Jed, because it's not it's a positive. Like, yeah, no. You don't have to be in the weeds. This is a Star Wars story for all. And I love that about the show. And it's going to be a high Star Wars adventure series, I think.
I agree. I don't think that they said that about Ahsoka, though. I think that's the one show where they weren't going around saying that.
Well, I remember I got one text from a friend of mine. He and his son, their favorite Star Wars show is Rebels. And he goes, hey, man, I need some help on Ahsoka. And I typed back, oh, did you watch Rebels? He goes, literally my favorite Star Wars show. I am lost. I am lost.
Oh, no. That one, it's a master's level. Master's level, right?
Yes.
This is going to be, everyone gets caught up to speed with the skeleton crew. We're all starting at the same place. I like it. I need that right now.
Yeah, we'll put aside, I know, sometimes you and I heap a little too much scorn on Ahsoka. We apologize to those who love that series. We get it. We like so much into it.
Yes, I'm having fun.
Let's look ahead to Skeleton Crew with some of these questions from our listeners here. On ForceCenter, we go to Carabaster. Carabaster asks, what excites you most about the show in-universe story-wise? Follow-up question, sub-question, to quote High Fidelity, what excites you most about the show real-world-wise, i.e., it's a show my kids will love? Jen, I pitch it to you. Answer any one of those questions in any order you want.
So first of all, I'm really excited about the practical effects, the aliens, the creatures. I always love that. This show seems packed with it. The fact that they brought Phil Tippett back to do some stop motion animation. And also, apparently, they hired a retired ILM painter to create matte paintings for the show. Right. I love that. I love that attention to detail, bringing the old into the new. I just think that there's going to be a lot to freeze frame, right? But also a lot that like my kids are going to be able to appreciate as well. That it's just going to be a fun little adventure for them. Meanwhile, I will be like, look at that. That was fuzzball from Catch and Neo, blah, 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 right? So I love that it's going to play on both levels.
I forgot. Yeah. Captain EO connections possibly, and then we know Teak. Love it. Love that stuff. Yeah, I'm with you on that, and the Phil Tippett stuff and the matte painting, and it goes beyond just bringing back classic Star Wars elements, tropes, or designs or creators. That's definitely the headline there, but it's just it's I don't know how to explain it, Jen. It's more than just even a tip of the cap. It is, and it's not something I need to for every series, by the way. It's not like I thought this was missing from Acolyte. No, a series I love, by the way. But like, it just feels right for a series that almost to a point of yeah, we got it. Is this Goonies in space, the Amblin era? We keep hearing that, and we've said that too, and I think it's correct to describe the show like that. But I don't know. It's just like if you need to. We're blessed to be in a spot where if you need to kind of tap into that era, not only do you have one of the great producers of that era, Kathleen Kennedy, in your wheelhouse there, in your skill set or your tool shed, you have these creators still. Phil Tippett's still going, man. Like, we're blessed by that. Yes. Bring him in. And they brought him in for other stuff. Favreau brought him in. Ryan Johnson did that series, did the Poker Face episode, directed by Natasha Lyonne, that was about Phil Tippett or inspired by Phil Tippett, but had Phil Tippett's work in it. Dude's still there, and he's got a great beard. Bring him in, and I love that.
Yeah, it's like it's a reverence, and it's understanding like these are the best of the best. Like you're saying, they're still there, they're still working. So why not work with them? Gosh, I certainly would. I freaked out when I saw Phil Tippett at Star Wars Celebration, and I interviewed him. It was a very short interview. very
Sure.
short. But I had to restrain myself to not want to just tell me everything, blah blah blah. Right? Really
Same,
had to
same.
restrain myself.
Told that story of Anaheim, walking out of the hotel, heading over to the convention center, look over, and just Phil Tippett sitting there. And I just had this moment of like, I started to like shake, and I wanted to thank him, but I didn't want to bother him. And then I didn't. And then I just was like, I better walk away. I better walk away right now. But that for me is some of the stuff that excites me real world wise, the connections, the use of these creators, the connections to the past with the new era storytelling. I'm gotta imagine there is some angle, Jen, with you of my kids will love it. Not that they don't love other Star Wars, but you have a younger kid that you're like, I want to make sure I want to make sure in this series, Acolyte might not be the romp that kids want to watch. So
can you imagine? Oh, yeah, that would be really uncomfortable. You know what I'm actually really interested in, besides my kids, because obviously I have a lot of influence on what they
Sure.
watch, and
Sure.
I can sway them to my Star Wars side. I am curious to see if it translates to other kids at their school. When I go to their school, like I'm like looking around, who's got this? Which kid has a Star Wars shirt, right? And I gotta say, not a lot. I see a lot of Grogu shirts, or I did. This past year, I have not seen as many. So it'll be interesting to see if I can chat up a third or fourth grader about Skeleton Crew, because I I want to. And I do wonder if this could be a good test for more kid-centric Star Wars live-action things in the future. This could be the beginning. I don't know. We'll see how it does.
Hey, kid, is that a Neil shirt? Come on over here. I want to talk to you. Hey. One of the things I'm looking forward to in universe wise and story wise, and using a little bit of the real world to discuss it, is hearing the directors and the creators and people involved pitching the show is, again, Amblin and Goonies and space and all that stuff, Stranger Things, all those things that maybe even the creators haven't said. It's just been part of the discussion around it. We're part of that as well, to be clear again. But it's the idea of, what if we took these 4 kids who are different and unique, but do want to experience an adventure, or someone who don't want to leave their suburbs, and let's take those kids, which are in many ways all of us through the ages, and take them on an adventure through Star Wars, but from the perspective of they don't understand they're in Star Wars, meaning the galaxy that we've all lived in, but the galaxy that the characters in the universe have lived in, the adults or whatever, they're not aware of that. And to see, I can't wait to see Star Wars, and I'm putting quotations on Star Wars, from the eyes of these kids. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting pitch to me. Because, yes, we got pirates, and we got this, and we got treasures, and we got adventures. We got a character. Can we trust Jadden Nalwood? Is he a Jedi? Is he not? All that stuff. But to have these youngsters' eyes looking at the galaxy, and we're going to see it through their eyes, I think it's a fascinating perspective.
I think it's great. And it's so real world, like with my kids, where they're talking about, the different things at their school and the social dynamics. They're caught up in their own world. And when we were talking about the fact that we had an election, all the things that we feel are important and blah, blah, blah. And kind of like this helplessness, like from their perspective, well, what are people going to do? What are they going to choose? So here we have these group of kids in Skeleton Crew where they're busy with their own little lives. And now they're getting thrust where they are going to have to make these choices, and they're going to be, thrust into these situations where it's life or death for them potentially.
Potentially, yeah, absolutely, indeed. So that's kind of overall what I'm looking forward to. A fun adventure, a romp. It's going to be poignant, all those things. But it's a great. Even though we just spent a lot of this episode talking about how I'm not celebrating the holidays in a lot of ways, I don't know, Jed. There's kind of that family holiday. Let's gather around and watch this vibe. And I think overall, that's one of the things I'm intrigued about in this series.
It's cozy Star Wars.
Cozy Star Wars. That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew, a cozy Star Wars story. Let's do it. Next question here. Bib Fortuna, number 4 in the middle of that there. Bib Fortuna says this. Notice John Knoll is the VFX supervisor for the show. I know he probably dips in and out of most projects, but why do you think this one specifically, for this one, he is the supervisor instead of the usual Hal Hickel or Richard Bluffs of the Lucasfilm world? Do you think at this point in his Lucasfilm career he can pick and choose projects, or do you think he was simply assigned to it as a project to do? I'll say right now, we don't have all those answers, of course. It's a great question, because until this question, I got to be honest, I hadn't focused on the fact that John Knoll was the VFX supervisor. But Jen, we're going back with a long-time Lucasfilm employee and also co-inventor of Photoshop, as a lot of people know. What do you think about John Knoll at the VFX supervisor chair?
I do often wonder about the behind the scenes, like how do they pick their projects? Do they not, like Ben Burt, like why is he sometimes there? Why is he sometimes not? Like, what is he doing? What's he up to? But actually I looked at the IMDb of John Knoll, and he was a senior visual effects supervisor on Book of Boba Fett, as well as 11 episodes of The Mandalorian. So I think it could just be that he's well-versed in the Mandoverse. They maybe had a lot of the similar crew. I don't know. Just practical reasons, I think.
It could be sharing the load of the projects. I don't know what Hal. I know he's still around. He was just posting on Blue Sky saying, "Hi, over here now. Here's what I do." Richard Bluff, who I think it was Anna. It was Anaheim. He and his family, his wife and I think 2 kids, were having dinner in the bar, and people were running up to him.
Oh,
and he just, I remember, like, he was so taken aback by that, and he's given some interviews too of just like, I swear I even heard his wife talk about like they were kind of like, we can't believe you people are recognizing him. He works it off. He works the computer. So I love that these names are celebrated as they should be. Hal and Richard were great in those Mandalorian Roundtable Disney Gallery episodes. I don't know. I think it could be workload for them. There's so many projects. There's projects we don't even know about, projects in development that they're part of it as well. I think they could be looking towards, if there's Ahsoka season 2 and maybe Filoni's movie, all that kind of stuff. And so I don't think there's any big reason for it, but I'd like to think, too, that there is kind of with what you and I were talking about. Knoll being an old school guy who's still showing up to work every day. He's still punching in that time card at Lucasfilm, but he's got so much experience. He was there as a youngster in the 80s. I love his story. If you watch the Light and Magic doc of him like showing up in Van Nuys in like 76 and getting a tour of him just showing up. And Lauren Peterson or whatever just be like, hey, someone take this kid around. He wants to learn what we do. Fascinating stuff. But if this is a series that, again, is not just I don't think it's a cheap stunt to pull in some of these names. Like I said up top, going, this is it's like you want to rebuild the 27 Yankees. Babe Ruth's still playing. Get him in here, right? Like it's that vibe for me. And it just kind of, I don't know. If you're working closely with Phil Tippett, not that Hal Hickel hasn't been there for years, or Richard Bluff has, or that any new name couldn't do it with these veterans. I don't want that to be what I'm saying, but just Jen, we got a classic all-star here. Let's let them go wild on this fun Star Wars adventure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a shorthand. If like you don't have to show him around. He knows what he's doing. He's been there. Fun fact is that he was a motion control camera operator for Captain EO, and as I said, Fuzzball from Captain EO is apparently in Skeleton Crew. I just love that connection. It all comes together. It all comes together.
I love that. And look, since the sale to Disney in 2012, and Lucasfilm goes from technically I'd say a mom and pop organization or a pop organization to a big corporation. It was a big company with great influence and history, of course, before that. But I just like the cats like John Knoll are still roaming the halls. And it's not just simply that they know how to do old Star Wars, but just that their love for this franchise runs strong, and it being still present, and that they still want to do it. It just makes me love these shows even more. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I was related to him so I could chat him up at the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, maybe we can just crash. Just find. I wonder if Knoll's on Blue Sky. Let's. Hey! Mind if I stop by? Got some questions. I'll bring a cranberry sauce. Just let me in.
Exactly. I'll bring some mac and cheese. Let's chat.
And again, this is part of the legacy of Star Wars. This is again going to the Empire Dreams doc and just having some of those behind the scenes guys saying, "Oh my gosh, kids were asking for our autographs coming out of New Hope at Mann's Chinese Theater." And just going back to what I witnessed firsthand with Richard Bluff and his family in Anaheim, like I love that that's still part of it. That these are artists who make these dreams come true as well.
Yeah, I just want to say when I saw Phil Tippett, it was Phil Tippett, Joe Johnson, and Dennis Murin, and I was shaking more than when Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen came in.
Yeah.
I was like really like shaking and like verklempt. I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh my gosh, these are like gods, right? And Hayden Christensen, I'm like, oh yeah, all right, the movie stars, all right. I don't know, maybe I don't know what it is, but
look, I even had the toys that made a series by Brian Volk-Weiss's team. I know Brian a little bit. It's been a few years since I talked to him, but he was a Jedi Council guest for a while. The Toys That Made a Series has some ups and downs with me, but I love that Star Wars one they do, even though it does take some unfair swipes at the prequels toys and kind of misrepresent some of the stuff. But that's overall, it's a really emotional episode. And Jim Swearingen, early Kenner employee involved in making all this happen, I saw him at Anaheim as well, and ran up to him. And like, I don't do that kind of stuff. I to my own detriment. Like I tell the story being at the Last Jedi, world premiere private party, and I'm standing next to Frank Oz, and I was like, I need to talk to him about Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I need to talk, and I didn't. And I wish I did, but I ran up. Point being, I'm normally calm, cool, and collected, right? Like we've been in town long enough to know we're like, yeah, that friend just won an Oscar. Like it does. I ran up to Jim Swearingen, Kenner employee, and couldn't even remember his name. And I was like, Toys That Made Us? Toys That Made Us. And he just was like, yeah. I was like, thank you. And I ran just like,
oh no.
I was like sweating, and I was like, you helped bring those characters off screen into my hands. Like, and that inspired so much inspiration and imagination, and inspired so much inspiration. See, I'm verklempt. I can't even talk about it now, Jen. But yes, so I know what you mean. You made it all real. Thank you, people who made it real.
That's what it is. I love that. Yes, you made it all real. Thank you.
There you go. All right, we are going to take a quick break. We got some more questions as we take your Star Wars questions and use it to help us preview Skeleton Crew. Stick around for more ForceCenter. Welcome back. I'm Ken. That's Jen. As we keep saying, it's Ken and Jen in the morning talking Star Wars. Sports and weather coming up at the bottom of the hour. Jen, let's move to a question from Aaron Motes. Aaron asks, will the crew and their home planet of Attin factor into the announced New Republic / Thrawn film? If so, how? So this name, Attin or Attin, was recently revealed, I think, in one of the interviews. I remember not too long ago I was watching a Star Wars Explained video, and this popped up. And there had been questions about the planet. Even the idea of, could it be Earth? I think that might be influenced by the very earthly-like suburbs that we see there, which have been a point of discussion. I like them. I'm on board for them. Other people aren't. Totally fine. We'll see how it plays out. Different conversation. But, Jen, we got the name of this planet. There's been some stuff out there. Again, I tip my cap to Alex and Molly at Star Wars Explained, who've been discussing some of this stuff of what's going on that planet. There's more significance. There's things we don't know. We got the parents. We got the school. We got a proctor who might be also in the government. Could there be some kind of observation going on? Is there a mystery? Some people in the galaxy don't even know about this planet. Jen, stop me. What do you think about this planet?
Yeah, I think it was Alex who got me spinning, because I was like, this is not what it seems. Like, yes, it seems like perfect suburbia, like a utopia of some sort. It is not that pristine world. There is danger there. There is danger in the order of it, right? And the pristineness of it. So, you know what's funny though? I just have to say, at Attin, I feel like that's got to be someone's inside joke on how we pronounce at, because I know we're supposed to pronounce it AT-AT.
No, we're
and
not.
Someone's like,
no, we're not.
Oh, I know. That's what they told. I think that's what somebody at Lucasfilm told me how I was supposed to pronounce it. I still say at, and here we finally say it at Attin. So,
you're bringing up. We looked back at the Force Awakens teaser trailer on the news episode this week. 10 weeks of that. You're bringing up 10 years of that 10-year-old argument that Maud and I had on Jedi Alliance of AT-AT versus AT-AT. And I'm like, you're all nuts. The Kenner commercial very clearly said AT-AT. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all? And then remember, I think either Battlefront or Battlefront 2, they brought the design team up when the 2015 and 2017 versions. I think it might have been at Anaheim around that time. Doesn't matter. They brought, and that question was asked at a panel. And they were all very, it's AT-AT. And I wanted to stand up and be like, you're wrong. But anyways, AT-AT. Maybe that's it.
We grew up on those commercials. You can find it on YouTube. I saw it. They say AT-AT.
AT-AT does not come with batteries. It's there.
So now we got to say that at Attin. But yeah, anyways. It is interesting how this has kind of emerged as like something like more than just like the usual, what is that planet? The planet seems to be a central point in the story. So.
Yeah. I'm having fun looking at it as not quite the mystery of Starkiller Base turned Ilum or Jakku, which, was definitely this planet way out. The Western reaches, no one knew about it, but yet all these things had happened, not unlike Tatooine. But we always say, hey, like Luke thought it was far from the center of the world, but that doesn't mean other people didn't have things to do there or important elements were happening there. Because how many times have you sat in your own suburb in the real world and gone, well, the world doesn't even come here? That's just kind of your view on it at the time. So I've just looked at the planet from that point of view as, Chad, I love what you said of the order of the suburbs almost not to be trusted. Very Tim Burton-like, who grew up where I live in Burbank, and Edward Scissorhands is an indictment of Burbank in a lot of ways. So, I love exploring it from that. But in terms of story, to Aaron's question, I don't think we'll factor in directly, but it could be part of a larger thing at play. I don't know, in the New Republic. I'm trying to save face for the New Republic. I think Mothma and Leia's New Republic has been, correctly looked at in a deeper way in Mandalorian Season 3. I like some of the stuff. There's still Old Guard. It doesn't just flip from the Empire to New Republic overnight. Like, a lot of realistic things about that. But I also think, there's Mothma and Leia are still stalwart characters for me and steadfast characters, and they would hate to know some of the stuff that we've seen on screen, which is fine. You can have that tension. So I think it might play into that. I don't know if I think my point is, Jen, I don't think there's any answers on the planet. There might be questions, but I don't think there's any answers. But I could see some questions that might lead to a bigger picture kind of answer in some of the other projects, Con.
Yeah, I think you're right. They'll raise the questions. I don't think that, but based on how they're marketing it, I don't think it's going to be too connected to anything else. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's that one shot that we've already discussed here that was not on their home planet. I believe it was part of their adventure, but there's some writings that correspond to some of the writings on the Peridia. And just there's that screenshot people have of Thrawn standing there, and behind him is kind of the same kind of writing. We'll see whether or not that's just, again, you and I were kind of joking at the expense of Ahsoka earlier. I think Ahsoka does tell a great overall story and has great big themes and everything, but you can get lost in the weeds. I think Dave can get lost in the weeds, and that's fine. That's a good thing. I don't think this show's going to get lost in the weeds, but I do kind of like that stuff's there. It just adds a little bit of, gotcha, Okay, cool. Right. This is part of this, because this was also pitched when this first was announced. This was a wild card announcement in terms of shows. It had kind of, at least to the general public, come out of nowhere. But we know John Watts and Chris Ford had kind of talked about it and soft pitched Jon Favreau on the set of Spider-Man. And Favreau says, well, what if I can produce it and let's get it in? And it just kind of seemed, it's in the timeline, but off here. So I like that there could be more overall, not connections, but just have its true place in this galaxy at this time.
Yeah, I think that depth is important, and I think that's one of the strong suits of Ahsoka, is that it is so deep. It's just me who doesn't have enough time to really go back, and it's like it's like a scholarly Star Wars piece. And this, I think, will have elements of that, but again, I don't think that they want to fully go on that level. They want to be able to kind of tell a broader story while still having those things that you can point to, like, that could be related to.
Yeah,
Ahsoka.
look, Look, eventually you do learn, like, I'm a stand-up comic who makes very specific dated references that are for 2% of my audience. I think it's okay. I think, when Ahsoka ends with, mother, not the mother, but the daughter and the son and the father and some giant statues. I think all you need to know is there's some giant statues with mystery, but those that know. I don't think that's a problem. And I think the show will do that too. So we'll see how it factors in. But I do overall, to Aaron's question, Jen, final thought on this for me. I do like that there's more than meets the eye of this suburban ideal looking and feeling kind of planet.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's an important choice. It's not just like trying to, replicate the Amblin era. There's a reason why it looks like this.
Right.
A bigger reason.
Bigger reason indeed. Which kind of leads to our next question from our listener, Osvetnik1138. Osvetnik asks, how much do you think the parents will be part of the story? Will we be cutting back to them, worrying about the kids, helpless, or will we see more of a Finding Nemo situation with the parents going out to look for them? Now, a little bit of history on that. Looking at some of Kerry Condon's Farah, Tunde Adebimpe is Wendell, who I believe is Wim's father, based off what we're seeing in the trailer. Going back to Celebration London, that's why a lot of us who were at London who saw the footage there, like the parents factored into that trailer a little bit more, and then some kind of the more public marketing came out and they weren't as present, and then now they are again. I think it's even some of the same footage, and we've got more, including when the ship takes off. Here's one of the things I'm intrigued about. When this ship that the kids find and takes off, Wim's dad appears to be there, which means they're very much aware of it, at least from what I'm gathering now, where coming out of London, I remember thinking, oh, they didn't know where their kids are.
Right.
But we have the ability to pursue them or to need to pursue them will be there, which is interesting. Because then now going back to our question about the suburbs, in fact, now we do have to find out if, are the kids all right, but are the parents all right? What do they do? What do they learn? And I think that's going to be interesting just from a thematic standpoint.
That's a much more active role than I think initially I was envisioning, which would be just them, like, what Vetnik is saying, like just worrying about the kids, feeling helpless. They're going to take a much more active role. It is interesting. I do wonder how that will play out in terms of like cutting back and forth. Will their storyline, I'm sure it will be compelling, but, are my kids going to be like, oh, the parents again? No, I think that there's got to be more to it, especially with Fern's mom, Farah, who seems to be a part of the government. She's the proctor, right? She's the proctor.
Yeah, I'm looking at some cheat sheets here, but proctor, but also I think she's also the mother of Fern, right? And Fern's description has something to do with a mother in government. I apologize for not writing that down in my notes. My bad. But it just, to me, speaks to you have a present authority. You have this community that we keep saying looks perfect on the outside. I don't think, could it be that the planet has something to do with the remnants of the Empire or the forthcoming Thrawnpire? Like, could it be that? I'm hearkening back to old G.I. Joe comic books in the early 80s where this Springfield town was actually a secret Cobra town. The villains, like is something more going on there? Or is this just a story about these parents finding or reconnecting to part of their soul and their sense of adventure? And could it just be, we're thinking big Star Wars themes, Jen, but could it just be parents looking at each other going, who are we? What do we become? Our kids are teaching us to be us again. I don't know.
Right. And being okay with them being, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
We'll see. Like I'm thinking of the Up in the Air scene where George Clooney fires J.K. Simmons' character at the beginning of the film and is like, how much was your first raise that took away your dreams? What was the first amount of money that made you think, well, this is it? I'm paraphrasing the scene, but it's one of my favorite scenes in one of my favorite movies. And J.K. Simmons knows the answer after been fighting because he's being fired and everything. So are these parents going to have that moment of when was the moment in your adult life in Star Wars, in the Star Wars galaxy, where you accepted the quenching of your desires, dreams, youthful energy, sense of adventure, cut yourself off from yourself? I don't know. You know, Jen, when's that moment that we all kind of look in the mirrors as we get older and go, when did I die? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, my body started getting tired.
The moment it couldn't get up out of bed without groaning. Yes.
That's what Wim's dad is going to be like, oh.
Again, this could go a lot of different directions, and we'll move on here. But I think it's a great question of Svetnik is this is a story about kids lost in the galaxy. I think that's still going to be the main thrust, and it could just be a simple cutback or a chase. But I just see Wem's dad staring at a computer screen going, this ain't it. This ain't it.
Right. That would be great. Very truthful.
Yeah. All right. A couple questions left here, Jen. Our friend Gwen asks this. We already love Neil, no matter what species he supposedly isn't. We'll see. The Ortolan debate rages on. Based on what we've seen, what other character are you most looking forward to or think will be your favorite? Gwen, we thank them for this question here. Jen, where do you go with this one?
I'm really torn because I love them all already. Obviously, okay, take Neil off the table. Wim.
That's tough, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, right? Wim I identify with daydreaming about adventure, of course.
Yeah.
Fern has kind of like a Han Solo big sister energy. She's like the leader, but I think she's going to be challenged. And I can't wait to see her vulnerable side because I know it's going to emerge somehow. Maybe Wim will bring that out in her. I like KB, although we haven't seen a lot of that character. But KB seems the most thoughtful, the most level-headed and kind of quiet. But I imagine when KB speaks, everyone's going to listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I think is kind of fun about this is that we can all identify with these characters at different points in our lives. So I like them all.
That's you great look at it. Yeah, Neil. I just already love the Neil stuff. I love the jokes around Neil. That Wim beat with the "I need you to fly," Neil. Neil. I love that beat. Looking beyond too. I got to be like Nick Frost as Smee, SM33. The droid is intriguing, but I don't want to take the focus off the kids in the story. To be clear, Jen. But I got to be honest, Jude Law as Jadna Nowwood, not just the big questions about is he a Jedi, is he a scoundrel, this and that. I think with some of the stuff I'm even talking about here, when I'm going deep into these almost dark, adult, you've lost yourself kind of themes, who is Jadna Nowwood? Not just what he is, but who is he? What does he bring? And he's on the run. What's his angle? There's all those things story-wise, plot-wise. There's just something I kind of like about what they're selling this character, not beyond just can he be trusted or not, but what he's going to learn. And not that I've lost, if anything, I've gained whimsy over the years. Yeah, I'm a little grumpy. I'm a little curmudgeonly. I think I've always been, because of the properties I love, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, whatever. I'm not afraid of a dragon flying on my TV screen is what I'm saying. But the show or these characters, these four kids, be in this mirror reflecting back on Jadna Nowwood. I'm curious how that's going to play out, what he's going to learn, what he's inside, what's inside him. One of the things I love about Solo, a Star Wars story, and the storytelling around young Han in that era, which includes the Most Wanted book, which has Han knowing what maybe he should be, but wanting something else, crafting an image, getting caught up in this world, and having people like Kira, who knows who he is, saying, "I'm trying to be a mirror reflecting back to you. I'm trying to give you the truth that you are a good guy." Which doesn't. I'm not even saying you're a hero. You think you're a scoundrel, but you're too good. Your heart does not line up with your actions right now. And wondering if that's going to play out in Jadna Nowwood's character. And I think it's not just important to have an older adult character taking these kids around. It makes a lot of sense plot-wise. But in a series that's pitched, it's younger, it's Amblin, it's that. But don't worry, all the creators, the directors, the writers, everyone keeps saying, it's not just a kids show. I think Jordan Elwood has a chance to represent a lot of, dare I say, midlife crisis kind of vibe. And what can you see in yourself?
I love that. And I think for me, Jude Law is such an excellent choice. I think he's going to anchor this show. I think he's a great actor who, as I've said before, he brings like this magic. There's always a twinkle in his eye. And I think that's going to be really fun to watch him play out what I think you're totally right of how this character is going to, the arc of this character. It's really important that one of the main actors is a great actor, and I'm so glad that they chose him. I think he's a great choice.
Great choice indeed. Yeah. Final thought for me again is if this is a series about 4 kids lost in a galaxy they're not actually aware they're part of, i.e., the Star Wars story, Jordan Elwood could represent a character who's been very aware for a long time of the story he's in, but losing touch with that story and losing touch with yourself through all of just life, all the things you and I are talking about here today, all the I don't want to do Thanksgiving. If he can connect with these kids and see it again for the first time and find himself in that's what I'm hoping, and that's why I don't want to be the adult answering the boring question if my favorite character is going to be the adult, but I think that's my answer.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. He's so good at playing like slightly like scary, dark, right? There's like a scariness, but also making it like whimsical and playful. Like, how do you strike that balance? But I can't wait to see what he does with this role. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got a final question here, and I'm making sure on my own notes. I'm bringing up what we got here. I'm trying to make sure. Yes, there we go. Okay, our final question, Jen. It's I called you Gem, like Gem in the holograms.
I'll take it. Truly outrageous.
Truly outrageous. Our final question, Jen, from Hell's Bell, our resident Star Wars lawyer in our Discord here. Yeah. What the heck is that owl in the poster? Sentient? Pet? Question mark? Question mark? It's also in the trailer. The owl, as far as I can tell, I was making sure I got up the correct information. Kim, KH''YMM, that's a classic Star Wars name, is what we got right here. Yes, Kim is what people are calling them, owl. What do we got? What do you think about this owl, Jen? And I'll say right now, if you've got a name other than Salacious B. Crumb, if you got a fully functional name, I think this is the character.
Oh, 100%. This is why I love Star Wars fans, is that this will be pointed out. First of all, immediately I looked at that little face and I thought, for those of you who play Animal Crossing, and I thought of Blathers, who is the owl from Animal Crossing. I was like, Blathers. Okay, the thing that really struck me, though, the cape. The high belt. Yeah. There is something about this character that is intriguing to me. Is the owl like a dignitary, a magistrate? It can't be. I'm not going to a Jedi, or dare I say, a dark side user. I think that the owl is going to be good. Maybe. And I want to see the bottom half of this owl character.
Well, can you trust Funko? Well, can you trust Funko Pops? That's the question.
I'm going to look.
Okay, type it up. Al, I just typed in Alan Skeleton Crew on the fly here. It's got feet. It's got owl feet, but it's up and walking. I think this character Kim reads the paper in the morning, enjoys a brisky morning munchie. I think we got a sentient character here.
Oh my gosh, look at the little feet. You know, the owls actually have quite long legs if you lift up their feathers.
You know, I'm not going to try. We got one in our neighborhood that shows up in the evening time. Big pine trees around us. We just hear, ooh, ooh.
Come here.
Yeah.
Look at that face.
It's a great
Look
face.
at that face.
It's a great face.
Oh, this is great. But see, what kind of character do you think that this owl is?
I did look up. I was like, all right, let me. What do owls represent in storytelling, right? Like, what do we got? And thanks to the AI overlords that now run us, some of the answers, so they could be incorrect. They could just say, owl represents bread rolls. Like, what? That's not a thing. Wisdom, mystery and the unknown, transformation, In some indigenous tribes, death and the afterlife, at a sign of new beginnings. So these are the pat computer searched answers, but I think all that kind of tracks for me. Owls do have that wisdom is the one that comes to mind for me, and in a wild, crazy adventure with Phil Tippett and company going crazy with stop motion monsters. We've already seen some great monsters in the trailers. We got pirates. Bringing in kind of almost, it has a classic Disney animation vibe, right? Like,
yes.
We need some kind of talking owl to give you the advice you need.
I love it. This is why I'm so excited for this show, that it has this owl with a cape. That to me is quintessential Star Wars.
Yeah.
This weird creature.
Then the real hope here is that can and should this character, Kim, the owl, show up in Andor Season 2?
Oh, no.
And that they're connected.
Wait, I missed it. My internet cut out. No!
Oh, I want this owl to show up in Andor Season 2.
Andor does not have too many aliens or creatures.
Telling you.
I could see it.
Right?
I could see it.
This would be great. Did I lose you, Jen? I think I lost you. The internet's been cloudy in LA. Okay, you're back.
I'm back. It's mad at me because I'm talking about owl legs, I guess.
I just want Andor Season 2. We got Krennic, we got Partagaz, we got Mothma, and an owl at a dinner table having a conversation. Give it to me, Gilroy. Come on.
I want that so bad.
And then around the corner comes Meeber Gascon.
Oh, God. I can see the keywords clacking.
All right. Enough silliness. And while Jed's internet is still barely alive on this tumultuous, cloudy day in Southern California that is affecting both of our internets as we record this episode. Thank you for all the questions. Overall, final thoughts from me, Jen. I'm laughing. I'm having fun. There's joy coming my way with this new Star Wars series. I always love new Star Wars stories. And I love the vibe that the show's already put out there. And I'm ready to pick up what the show is putting down, Jen. You?
Yes, me too. I'm so excited. I'm hopeful again. And it's just going to be fun. I think if nothing else, it'll be a fun adventure.
Be a fun adventure indeed. Hey, get ready for the Skeleton Crew report coming your way next week. If you have some thoughts on this episode or what's coming, we want to hear from you on social media, ForceCenter Pod. We're on Blue Sky, forcecenterpod.bsky.social. Join the conversation there. Our Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. We're on Instagram, YouTube as well. Subscribe here. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our impromptu vertical live streams, which are usually just me getting ready for a recording session, stuff like that. And you can find the podcast on all the spots. Just search. You'll find us. Merch available at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter or at our Fourth Wall Shop. Links down below on YouTube. And you can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. From there, you get into our Discord where we have all these questions coming from today, but a wonderful group of Star Wars fans. And even, sometimes, look, I know that I'm going to get a little crap for being a little grumpy about Ahsoka today, but it's going to be okay. We all come together and get along in our Discord because it's a great place to discuss what we love, what we struggle with, and what we feel about Star Wars. Follow me at Ken Napzok. Go to my website, kennapzok.com, for more. Pick up copies of my book, Why We Love Star Wars, directly from me there. Personalized copies for the holidays if you'd like. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find me on all the social media sites at Jennifer Landa. Just want to say I love Loth Cats. Just putting that out there. Love my Loth Cats. And TikTok at Jennifer Landa 1138.
1138 indeed. And don't forget, you can go to Joseph Scrimshaw's website, josephscrimshaw.com, and you can still support his film Dead Media. Even though this independent film is already in production, the budgets... you always need more, because after production comes post-production. And after post-production comes marketing, comes festivals, comes a lot of application fees. So you can still help Joseph in his goal here. He's doing it. He's making the film, but you can help it just be slightly more easier. Go to josephscrimshaw.com for more information. All right, that's it. We'll see you next time, and we'll see you for Skeleton Crew here on ForceCenter.